All right, let's try this again. All right, we are trying it again because I don't know what happened to the stream. I mean, I know what it looked like, and then we were losing people one by one. I got this little message on here saying that the software was not having a lot of fun being software. So we're trying it again. Now you're looking at the Beach Road Live in Olei. Things moving just fine down the road here on Thursday, October 10th. It's 7:37 a.m. and traffic is moving just fine out there. We had a little bit of rain this morning. That's right. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. And you can still see puddles out there. It's still dropping. You can still see the camera is even a little bit shaky because there's still a little bit of wind out there. So be safe if you're out there on the roads heading on their way to work. It is not perfect today, that's for sure. Hey, that's kind of like our show. It's not too bad. We're not perfect, but we're okay. Well, anyway, we're still going to have a good day on tap. It could be worse. We could be somewhere else. Right now, it's 83 degrees out here at the airport. Humidity's at 85%. We're looking at scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. Partly sunny skies, high near 86. Wind out of the west-southwest with a regular blowing of 7 to 16 miles per hour. Gusts as high as 20. 30% chance of rain, but it already started coming down today, so you know how that goes. Tonight, we're looking at some scattered showers, mostly cloudy with a low near 78. Wind's going to be just about the same, at the chance of rain's going up quite a bit. It's going up to 40%, so it's still going to be there. Anyway, that's what we got for weather this morning. Tomorrow, it's going to be, look at outside right now. Copy and paste. Control-V, Control-C, Control-V. That's what we're talking about. That's the weather for today and tomorrow. Same thing. On the weekend, though, we're going to be in good shape. Partly sunny skies, high near 88. It's going to be nice and calm. 5 miles an hour in the afternoon. Saturday night, 30% chance of rain. It's going to be kind of nice this weekend. It's going to be a lot better than it is today. What happened? I'm telling you. Tobot, no kidding. Are we still connected to the Gagne Shopping Center internet? I know. That wasn't the best internet, but that's okay. The good news is that stuff happens. You know, when we set up for the show last night, I know, call Paul is right. Ask for Team Blue. When we set up for the show last night over at Tom Yum, you know, we didn't take this whole thing that we got here, but we took a lot of the components over there. So this morning got in, had to rebuild everything, set everything up from scratch. I mean, even the way we set up the cameras last night, I wasn't anticipating initially bringing the stuff that I brought, but it ended up working out great once we figured out how all these things fit together. And we tried them in a different way, so it did work out. Anyway, just so you know, unlike when we were in Guam at the Gagne Shopping Center, our phone lines are open. The number is 670-789-2323, 670-789-2323. You can call us and say whatever it is you want to say. Hopefully it's good stuff. We'll see. But the numbers are open, and we're happy to take your call because we're happy to be back in Saipan and do our regular show. It's going to be great. Anyway, so what we ended up doing just now was just kind of restarting everything and getting it going. And we were talking a little bit about things that happened when we were gone. Like, not only did Joe Azuzu get voted out of the chairmanship for the CPA board, he said, screw you guys, hang out home. I mean, like, he ended up leaving. He resigned immediately. Now, I'll tell you what. He's an accomplished businessman. He's got the restaurant. He's got the real estate. He's got, and not just real estate like land and all that stuff. He's got like housing and all that other stuff, like everything that falls in there. Dude's successful. And, you know, sure, would you say that his delivery was that of a diplomat? I would say no. But that's a tough line to walk. The guy is successful. He knows what to do to get stuff done. He knows how to organize organizations and corporations, and that he hoped would translate to the board for CPA. I think he found out pretty quick that it wouldn't. If he was, let's not say chairman of the board, but let's say he was the executive director at the airport, I bet he'd be kicking ass and taking names. I mean, like, literally, he would be the guy doing all that stuff. Now, he would empower all his managers and all that to do all that stuff, but he doesn't have to be the expert at the airport, but he'd be the expert of getting people the most out of people, I'm sure. I think he'd be great over there. Not what he wants to do at all. He's like, hey, I'm not a job person. I'm not an executive director. I run my own corporations right now. Isuzu International. No, I don't know what it's called. But he would be able to do that. That the way things are set up at the CPA board, I don't know that it's set up for success. I mean, we've seen what we've seen for the last few years, right? Sometimes I don't know. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of great stuff. I can't speak to say that we've seen a lot of great stuff. I mean, I've heard other people tell me there's been a lot of great stuff done. I just don't know. It just hasn't sunk in. That hasn't grown any roots. So I'm not as enamored with the way things go at CPA, but I would like for them to do better. I would like, no matter what, anything negative about the CPA board, the number one thing is they wouldn't be there if they didn't care. They care. They all want to do the right thing. They just all have different visions of how to do it. The only thing that would bother me is if they're taking marching orders from someone else. You know what I mean? If it's based on party stuff. Like, for instance, if during an election season they want to make someone look ineffective and be difficult for them, so they want to make a certain appointee look bad, you know? All that stuff is horse crap to me. All those guys, if you're a part of a board and you're intentionally sabotaging the efforts, trying to drag stuff so you don't look like you're able to move forward because you don't want a certain candidate to look good or something, man, that's just awful. Just awful stuff. So I think there's an element of that for sure. But I'll tell you again, I could see it. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't even thinly veiled. The amount of frustration that Joe Isuzu was seeing when he was in there trying to deal with his fellow board members, and there was a lack of decorum. I mean, there wasn't any more patience. He's like, no, that's enough. Stop delaying. Stop all this stuff. Let's just keep moving. Blah blah blah. And that doesn't go over all that well. I mean, hey, I'm not from here. He's from here. But I know how that stuff works. I've tried to put on a cape and be Superman and go and rescue situations. You can do it, but you can't come in there like a seagull. That's like what they say, the Japanese style of management. It's like the seagull style. You fly in, you crap all over everything, and then you fly away. I know. That's what I heard. That's the business style. Not like people, regular people, just the business style. So anyway, that's too bad. I think we lose an opportunity on that one. We'll see. Someone else is going to get appointed. Who's going to be next? Good morning, Arlene. Great to see you too. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so let's get into one of the bigger things that we got these press releases yesterday. I didn't get them out yesterday, but I wanted to talk to you about them today. This is the stuff that we got from DPS regarding an arrest of one of their own. If you take a look, this is the release right here. We could zoom in a little bit more. Ooh. And they filed charges against one of their own yesterday. Troy Manahani was arrested. It looks like it was stemming from a dispute that happened at the beginning of the year where he's got his service weapon. He ended up pointing at somebody during a domestic event. Don't worry, we don't have the details on that, but it sounds like, hey, some people were scrapping. He unholsters his weapon or unsecures it from wherever it was and points it at somebody. Like, ooh, man, I'll tell you, I don't care what you're doing, but you can't do stuff like that. One of the first things that you're taught is you always treat your weapon like it's loaded. That's one. Number two, you never point your weapon at someone unless you intend to use it. Like, not like, maybe this will scare him. No, if you're drawing on somebody, you intend to use it. And I don't know how the officers at DPS are trained, if that's part of their training. And if that's the case, that's a tough one. Now, this doesn't say anything to the department itself. This is just about the officer. I'll tell you, it must have been a heated incident for him to do something like that. And he'll have his day in court. But he's there. And we could tell you about like the message, like the direct quotes that we got from the commissioner. The DPS would like to assure the public that we take allegations of police misconduct extremely seriously. We will ensure that due process and justice for everyone involved, including Officer Manahane, is served. We recognize that an arrest of an officer may be portrayed as a betrayal of the trust that our communities have placed in us. This type of allegations are unacceptable and will not be tolerated in our department. And that is from the commissioner himself. And they want to have a press brief today at 10 o'clock. And we should be able to make that one. Hold on, let me just make sure. I mean, where else would we rather be? You know, but I just got to see what we've got calendared, because I ended up missing the CUC stuff last time because of like one of the last minute press conference things that came up. And the CUC thing was kind of a big deal, right? Open that up. No, okay, that's not till later. Cool. All right, so also going back to the that body that was found, that was like one of the first things that happened when I left. What happened to the CNY when I left? Hey, good morning, Mona. Great to see you. All the way from Tacoma. Great to see you. Yeah, so remember last week, or man, it wasn't even last week. It just feels like last week, where we had they found that body of somebody. I can't believe it. That was Monday. That was, this is what happens when I leave. Like all these cool things happen. Well, here, I'll open this up for you too and share it over. This is the old, yeah, it was just about the body that was found by the R&V snack bar in Garapan on Sunday afternoon. And they were looking for people to help identify the body. Well, they did identify the body. It says photo identification was found at the scene by detectives. Tenants who reside at an apartment just by where the deceased is located had also confirmed the identification as the person who stays behind the snack bar. Case remains under investigation. So there you go. Yep, so there we go. All right, so that's what's going on with DPS. Now that you know what we know from DPS, from those two things. I mean, this is going to be the bigger story today. And if you look over at the newspapers, they were at the court and caught a shot of the officer walking in, being escorted by corrections staff. And it's got to be a tough one. So this is the variety catching a shot at him. I mean, maybe that's not the right phrasing. They actually shot that photo from inside the courthouse. You could see the sticker, the decal on the door and the reflections. And I would say that's probably Brian, judging by that silhouette. Brian Manaba. I think that's him. Brian, you got yourself. It's like a selfie. It is Brian. Look it. You can see it in the I'm looking at the byline of the story. Well, anyway, so Officer Manahane, he is now held on $10,000 cash bail. We'll see how that works out. There is a complaint attached to it, and it said it was a reading up on this thing. Oh, wow. Jeez, this is a little worse than we thought. Okay, so there's a complaint that was filed against them that he and one of his fellow officers responded to a domestic incident in January. And when they responded to a domestic violence scene. It was some other guy who was having an argument with his girlfriend. And They didn't want the argument to escalate, so the guy chose to leave the apartment until his girlfriend left. Said when he was standing outside the apartment, the police came up. And so he ran to the second floor to evade the officers and jumped out of a window. Later, that guy was apprehended by one of the officers, told to sit down, and then Manahane allegedly walked up to him, told him to get rid of the pen he was holding and to get in the back seat of the police car. And apparently, according to this person who was arrested, or at least being detained, the officer was flashing his gun around and said, quote, "What would you do if my partner shot you?" That's a rough one. The good news is we got a commissioner in there taking some action, did the investigation, and filed charges. The Attorney General's office did their job, and now they're going to work on it. And he'll have his day in court. And that's how it's supposed to work. That's our justice system. We're going to hear more about that today at 10 o'clock at the commissioner's office. Looking forward to that. It seems like we've been at DPS a lot lately, huh? With everything that's going on. I mean, they're calling, that's a sign of them just trying to be transparent and everything. So I got to love it. Getting us in there, letting us know what's happening with everything. And then we broadcast it live for you guys. Being transparent, though, doesn't work for everybody. And it's a shame because we've been getting information about what's going on, too. But CFC's got a grants writer named Candace Munya. She came out during the Public Utility, the PUTC, Public Utilities Telecommunications Commission, and said, hey, there's some stuff that's not great going on at CUC. And I want to talk about it. Well, she's been placed on admin leave. And it came from the executive director. So we're going to wait and try and hear from CUC about this. I don't have any release, but maybe is this a letter? It says you submitted an entirely unsubstantiated complaint against a colleague. The employee filing the complaint bears the burden to prove the violations he or she is claiming. You failed to prove your witness list and evidence despite numerous reminders and extension deadlines. You have committed multiple instances of insubordination and that you've engaged in unauthorized representations and communications on behalf of the corporation without our local and federal partners and without authorization. Said you have submitted grant applications on behalf of the corporation. However, you failed to follow company protocols. Said recently you disrupted an official board of directors meeting. This behavior constitutes not only direct insubordination, but violation of the chain of command and breach of company protocols. Hold on. We're going to talk about that line, that little gem, in a second. It said a formal complaint has been lodged against you regarding harassment and creating hostile work environment. During this period of admin leave, you're not authorized to perform any work-related duties, attend events, functions, meetings, or trainings as an employee of CUC or access company premises. This leave is not disciplinary action, but a precautionary measure to ensure a thorough and unbiased investigation. Well, it sounds like you just said a whole lot of things that were a fact and not that we're going to investigate this. Anyway, Munoz, she's going to continue to get paid during this time. And they'll let her know what happens as a result of her action. You know what? We should dig that up because a lot of this stuff was happening when we were getting ready to leave. And that seems worthwhile now. Tobot, you're going to come back to the Marianas, but it's going to be more beautiful when you get here. Isn't that awesome? Here we go. I'm going to pull up this stuff here. The link to the video of what she was saying. That's what I want to pull up for you. Just a moment, folks. Just a moment. Do, 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 do. All right. Un momento, por favor. Because I want you to know, if you're going to get all fired up about this, you should know what's been said. Now, the most important thing, though, I will say, is that, again, I'll tell you that sage advice that I got from John Peoples. The bread does 2 sides to every pancake. He is getting more and more Southern with every time I tell that line. Bread does 2 sides to every pancake. It's starting to actually slip into my Sergeant Allen. He was not the same voice or guy as Sergeant Allen. And he gave me some good ones. No kidding. Hold on. Sorry, I actually have to change to the other account. So, yeah, Sergeant Allen. Oh boy, ask me about Sergeant Allen over a beer sometime, and I'll tell you some stuff that I probably can't say here. Okay, come on. Where's that message I got from you? All right, I found the right spot. But this is more of a, I don't want to link to their story, but I want to say, what was the date of this? 6 days ago, so that was last week. So that'll be on the legislature's page. So let's do that. Let's hang out for a little bit. I'm going to find this on the NMI Commonwealth Legislature page, and then we're going to watch this together, just to hear her part. It's Northern. There we go. Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature. Oh, are you kidding? It goes straight to that one. That's the best. Now, it's an hour long, so I got to skip forward to find her. And then there's another one. Let's find out where she's at. But getting to what the executive director said about the chain of command, I call bull on that. No matter what it is, there's no chain of command for a friggin' utility. When it comes to speaking at a public event. Now, if you got an axe to grind, you can grind it. That's what I'm saying. Chain of command. Like it's some kind of military organization, and it's not. Okay, is she in that one? Hold on, I'm scrolling through real quick to see if I can find her. The first video is mostly all recess. That's the worst. Brief recess. Brief recess means we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, here, it's the other video. All right. Dun, 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 dun. We're scrolling. Oh, there we go, right here. You ready? It was worth it. It's going to be worth it, all right? So let's transition you over here. Not that kind of transition. Calm down.
We do hereby establish a quorum. So can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda?
And she didn't disrupt it. I think this goes right into the public comments.
Mr. Chairman.
With today's agenda being adopted, hereby. So is it seconded by Senator Karina?
Second.
With today's agenda being adopted and seconded by Senator Karina and
you can see her down there at the bottom left of the screen.
I hereby adopt today's
She's
agenda.
got her laptop
So we'll move
open.
to item 4, public.
So it's not a disruption. This is her in public comments.
All those in favor of adopting today's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
With majority say adopting today's agenda, we'd like to move to public comments. So the microphones are open for public comments. We have 5 minutes.
Here she comes. Here's the comments.
Please state your name and the agency you represent, or if you're here on your own free will.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, esteemed members of the CNMI Legislature, commissioners of the Public Utilities Commission, and members of the public. My name is Candice Nicole Leon Guerrero Muña. I currently am employed by the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. However, I am here today as a private citizen, speaking as a private citizen. Before I begin, I would just like to refer to there's a section in CUC Rules and Regulations, and it is the whistleblower policy.
It'd help to have that with
Sorry, I know
the
where
paper
it's
clip
at.
and highlighted.
But basically, it protects whistleblowers from any sort of retaliation or discharge. And I'm here today because utilities are perhaps our most important, one of the most important services that we have here in the CNMI and in everywhere you go. Utilities are very important. They are considered essential services, just as medical care provided by the hospital are considered essential services. On the front page of the Saipan Tribune a few days ago, I was very concerned because there were two articles. One was that CUC signed a memorandum of understanding with the central government to basically to clear their arrears. And then I also saw that the hospital owes $67 million in utilities arrears and penalties. This concerned me because ultimately the CNMI taxpayers pay for the burden that the hospital ultimately owes. It all goes back to the taxpayers. As a grants writer for the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation, my duties involve collecting information, data, I research, I read publications, and this is basically what becomes the bulk of the proposals and the programs that I apply for through federal grant funding. Currently, the buzzwords used are environmental justice. The CNMI is considered a disadvantaged community. As of the U.S. Census, the 2020 U.S. Census, approximately 30% of CNMI residents are at or below the federal poverty line. Through my research as well, CNMI ratepayers pay among the highest utilities rates in all of the nation. And that saddens me. It discourages me. And that's why I joined CUC. I joined CUC to serve the ratepayers, to serve our communities. I'm here to advocate for this bill. I'm here to advocate for the Public Utilities Commission. I am here to help push this bill forward. I would like to also suggest that the commissioners are paid higher than $800 to $1,000 per month. That in and of itself is not enough for them to do the important work they do of providing regulatory oversight to not only the utilities, but to our communications and transportation sectors. The work that they do is critical to ensuring that agencies like CUC, as well as telecommunications providers, follow the laws, local and federal laws. And I do have a concern as a citizen and as an employee of CUC. My concern is this morning on my way here, I saw a special board meeting agenda that tomorrow at a special board meeting at CUC, they will announce a state of emergency for power generation, not only in Saipan, but in Rhoda, where ratepayers of Rhoda pay exorbitant amounts in power as well as water. That really concerns me because our leaders could do better. Not only our leaders in the government, but also within CUC. As an employee within CUC, I have seen employees unjustly terminated from their jobs. I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional right now because I've seen it, I've experienced it. Good, hardworking people of CUC. We have so many good, hardworking employees, so many talented employees whose contracts, by the way, were not renewed because of politics, because of petty politics. And they did so much for CUC when they were there. But because somebody didn't like them, they were not allowed to continue the critical work that they do or did. And some of those positions are still not filled. Why does CUC have a problem hiring qualified professionals? Perhaps because CUC has a poor reputation among qualified professionals in the know. And that's why CUC fails to attract qualified professionals. That needs to change because there's a lot of mismanagement going on. Mismanagement. I filed a grievance on August 23rd. An employee who had introduced herself to me as the landlord's wife started from maybe my first week of work doing little petty things to intimidate me, and I ignored it for months. But after I arrived from the Territorial Climate and Infrastructure Workshop, I found that I was given an AWOL for a jury duty cancellation, that after the cancellation, I decided to do some work-related errands and work remotely. As a grants writer, I'm an exempt employee. And I work extra hours. I work very hard. I not only work 8 to 5, sometimes I work during my breaks and lunch. And I also work after hours into the wee hours of the morning. And sometimes I work all night long until a grant is submitted. Yet, I was still harassed by this employee. And despite payroll's 2-3 attempts, actually, emailed attempts to get a leave form from my timekeeper, who also happened to be the acting grants administrator of the time, she ignored them. And I was marked an unjust AWOL. Mind you, I was in a probationary period. Also, I am a well-qualified employee. I'm educated, I have my bachelor's degree, and I have over a decade of experience in grant writing. And I was also a teacher. So I decided to file a grievance because I had enough. I had enough of the unfair treatment. And little did I know that when I filed my grievance, I opened up a can of worms. This can of worms included my immediate supervisor, who didn't want to talk to me for weeks, for actually a month. He avoided talking to me and avoided addressing the issue. And when I escalated the grievance to HR, he didn't want to handle it either. He pushed it back to my supervisor. When I told the HR manager that I had exhausted the grievance process, because he said I did not exhaust the grievance process, he said, I will do the investigation. But then one day, within that span of time, I saw him walking from a house located behind Joten Dandan building. And I remembered that there were employees that told me that this HR manager was a tenant of the subject of my grievance. When I asked him about a potential conflict of interest, he did not confirm or deny it. He told me that my evidence was due the next day within an 18-hour period. And if I did not submit my evidence, it would not be included in the investigation. I do not know where this lack of due process occurs in, other than a dictatorship. Mind you, within CUC, there's cameras everywhere. They even tried to install video cameras inside of one of the engineering offices. Thankfully, the manager stopped it. it feels like everything's controlled, like there's a dictatorship there. And also there's a problem because everyone has a different accounting system. So nobody knows exactly payroll, accounting, HR. There's all different systems. So we don't know. There's no clear idea of how everything is managed, funds and whatnot. And I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm just stating that there are operational inefficiencies within CUC. Furthermore, we have a EPA stipulated order that we must abide by. Why is it that when we had our workforce coordinator, who was well qualified, a local young man, very talented, he reports to the HR manager, who reported to the chief of admin, and that whole year that he worked for CUC, he wasn't given anything to do. He even drafted up a workforce development plan. He gave it to his supervisor, the HR manager. And what did the HR manager do? He did not have anything to say about it. And then one of the senior leaders told him something like, stop trying to change the world, or you can't change the world. What a way to encourage the next generation of leaders. These young people, they born and grew up in the CNMI. They went off island to get their education. They came back, and then they came back to a place where they had all the opportunity to do the right thing, but they were discouraged and they had no other choice but to leave CUC. So when I asked this question, why do people leave CUC? Because they were terminated, their contracts not renewed, or they just decided to give up and leave because they couldn't do anything. And let me also mention that the person who did all those little petty harassments to me, she said something that CUC will never have an elegant Christmas party because of the meter readers, and that offended me because it's the people that go out there every day, work on the field, that build our infrastructure and keep our infrastructure going. I stood up and I filed my grievance. And on September 20th, they called me in a meeting. The HR called me in a meeting. In that meeting was the legal counsel, who also represents not only HR, but also billing. Two of the most concerning divisions within CUC, because HR deals with all the employees and billing deals with all the ratepayers. And in that meeting, which, by the way, I would like to announce and let everyone know that I recorded because I was not given a chance to have a lawyer present to advocate for me. In that meeting, they assured me that the grievance process was moving forward. They denied any conflict of interest, and then it went into interrogation. I did a protected action, yet I was interrogated. Why would I falsely accuse anyone? I'm here to help the CNMI. I pretty much gave up on senior management because I've seen people walk down that road before, employees walking down that road before, only to be figuratively thrown off the cliff by senior management and the board of directors, who I believe might be compromised as well. PUC is established to regulate the utility, to ensure that there's no corruption, because wherever corruption exists, that's when mismanagement occurs. And CUC is the largest corporation in the CNMI. Every citizen, every ratepayer has to pay their power, water, wastewater bill if they're in Saipan, it's wastewater. Rhoda and Tinian still don't have wastewater services. But every ratepayer must pay. And if they don't receive those services. So we need regulatory compliance. We need a regulatory authority there. And my question is, why now? Why did it take so long? And when I read the history of CUC, there was so much corruption in the past. A regulatory organization would prevent that. And prior to coming here today, I spoke to one of the commissioners of CCU, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities of Guam. And one of the benefits of PUC is that we can attract qualified leaders who will help the CNMI find funding to rebuild our power plants, to purchase new gensets. Our gensets are as old as me. They're about 40 years old right now. And they're leaking oil and gas, and they're producing this black toxic fume. They are highly inefficient, yet we still can't purchase them. And why? We have to be able to provide the proper packages. We have to be able to justify what we're purchasing and not just provide vague information. We must abide by laws, rules, and regulations. And that's what I do when I apply for grants. I have to ensure that we are in compliance with what the federal government wants. So I know that I'm pretty much at my time limit. And I, again, thank you so much for hearing my voice. It's been months of, it's been only 5 months for me, but I know for some of the people that have worked at the utility, it's been many years of working through, and they basically are at the whim of the management, of the leaders. By the way, one last thing. When I brought up a potential conflict of interest that not only was about the HR manager being a tenant, but it was also about receiving free or discounted renovations on the office building. There was an office renovation that happened the next day to the executive director's door. They changed the executive director's door from wood to glass, as well as the acting chief of admin's door from wood to glass, and the CFO's door from wood to glass. And then on Friday, and that happened, I believe, on a Wednesday. So I believe I mentioned, I emailed my executive director about potential conflict of interest in terms of office renovations on a Tuesday, on the 24th, 25th, 26th. The renovations occurred on the 25th. And then on Friday, that was when our CFO drafted a memorandum that there will be no more 5% incremental increases for all employees due to financial hardship. My executive director since June has been on about, 7 trips, and this is the 8th leave. And while he's been gone, who has the authority gone to? There have been a lot of trips, and I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for concerned employees at CUC who cannot get their jobs done because the person with the authority and the authority is out. So how can we move forward if there's constant travel among our senior leaders? We need to become more efficient. We need to be dedicated. We need to persevere. We need to have the determination to push the utility forward. And mind you, I've heard from the employees. There's a lot of problems here in the CNMI with our water contamination, with our power plants that are on the brink of failure. We can do so much better. And this is why we need our Public Utilities Commission, and we need all hands on deck from our PUTC. And we also need better management within CUC. And I did raise my voice to my leaders, but they didn't hear me. And so I decided that my issue, it's not about my grievance. The grievance was just the thing that kickstarted this. I'm here because of a bigger issue. And the issue is, let's do the right thing. Let's do the right thing and let's make good decisions and let's continue to push forward, even though it's difficult, even though, it takes all of our energy. Let's remember why we do the work we do, and that is to help improve the quality of life so that our people will have more financial freedom and so that our children will be able to have a better education, more food to eat, and more opportunities. Si Diyos maasi, thank you very much for listening to my statement. I appreciate all of the work that you do. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Ms. Munya. If
yeah.
you like, you could submit, your statement to Sergeant Arp for the record.
So let's think about that. So that's at 1:12:15. How long did they let her go? So they gave her a good 20 minutes to talk about all that stuff. So first of all, I want to say this. I know there's two sides to every story, but I'll tell you that took some stones to go off and do that. So the first thing is, hats off to the PUTC chair, because he could have stopped her 15 minutes ago. But that, to me, is what public comments are all about. The public comment section in our meetings are for things just like that. If someone were to say, well, I'm sorry, that's not on the agenda, to hell with whoever that is. No matter what your job is, if you're running that meeting, to say that. But, that was great. And then, of course, I'm listening to all the stuff that she's saying leading up to it and everything. Because at the beginning, it was like a real slow build. And I wonder if she was just like, how deep am I going to go down this rabbit hole on this stuff? And she started gaining some momentum and started bringing some really good points about it. Now, again, the other folks on the other side of it are going to have some thoughts about it for sure. And when you listen to that, to that letter that she ended up getting from the director, he's definitely talking about the director, right? She mentioned him a couple times. Sorry, I just actually unpaused it by mistake. But I would love to hear more from CUC about that. Now, hold on. I want to see if I can find some of the comments that I ended up getting about just this particular thing. If you give me a real quick second here. Pow, pow, pow. No. Ended up getting something. Nope, that's going back too far. So it's not from this account. So it's got to be my other account. Let me check. And I'm not able to do that from the computer. But somebody reached out to me. Hold on just a moment. There we go. Reading some of these things. It was just in the past week when they realized that they were going to ask the governor to declare a state of emergency, realized that there is someone more powerful at play. I believe that due to a lack of regulations on the utility, it was used as a source of plunder for the past 30 to 40 years. Witnesses cited former Governor Guerrero and Tim V stealing diesel from the power plant to sell. And today, an employee reported another employee, but a higher up, using the company credit card for personal gas. There must be more going on that we don't know about. Also, we don't know the true cost of service. Things must change, but people are suffering and struggling right now. These are some of the things that came in. Former employee who worked at the power plant told me that management made so much money on kickbacks, but as of right now, there's no concrete evidence of this. However, they said that there's a middleman who makes more money than the actual cost of the equipment, and employees know, but are just too afraid to speak out. And that's what you guys are sending me, right? Talking about all this kind of stuff. So hopefully we can have them come on the show and talk about it if they want to, and if they don't, hey, you don't want to. We don't have to bring it. We don't have to mention your name or anything like that. But all that kind of stuff it's good. It's just shocking, right? And they talk about the executive director's travel, and that was one of it. Says he's been on leave 8 times since June for work authorized travel mixed with personal leave, and 8th time for a 2 to 3 week leave here in the CNMI. Yeah. And then this is from you guys. These are great comments coming in, by the way. So it's a tough situation. Hey, I know what CUC is like. I work there, and some of it's changed, some of it hasn't, and I get it. It is, and it's not maybe. It's the most important organization that we got, the most important government agency that we have, or semi-autonomous public agency is CUC. Absolutely. Because of it delivers life essential services. Water. You can deal without power. It's not as much fun. Right? You wouldn't be able to watch the show. But you need to have water at least to live. You find out that right away after a typhoon. You don't have to agree with me. You're not going to say, yeah, Brad, I believe that. No, you don't have running water at your house. You're going to know that you're going to find out really fast how important CUC is. No kidding. You're going to find out right away. Yeah, lest there be any doubt. So anyway, hopefully we can get her on the show to talk more about that stuff, because I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear something from CUC. The thing is, they don't have a spokesperson, and they haven't had one since 2016. I know a guy who used to be that guy, and they still haven't had anybody do it. And I think it's to CUC's detriment. That doesn't mean that they don't have people there who do good things. They have a lot of people who do great stuff. And they have a lot of well-intentioned people. And I'm talking about the management too, like the upper level folks. They care. They absolutely care. I'm not saying that they don't. But, you got one of the most important organizations in the whole Commonwealth, and they just don't do a great job of letting everybody know, important things like that. Firing off a quick press release about like a loss of power. Oh man, I don't want to nitpick about all the little things for CUC, but I will say this: when the power goes out and you call just to find out if it's just your house, or hey, is it all of CUC, or is it just my area? Oh, they're gonna find it. They tell me it's an auto trip, and they're working on it. Okay. That's not good info. Get good info. Have someone there provide real information and put it up. All right. And as it happens, not later. If it happens at night, don't tell us about it in the morning. Hey, last night this is what happened. Have somebody who really cares about that stuff talk about it as it's happening, because that's important stuff. People want to know. Did one of the generators blow up? Or is it just like a popped transformer? And is that an Autobot or a Decepticon? I want to know the difference. And and then have a real update about an ETA on recovery. Oh, it's an auto trip. There's something that happened down at the plant. It's probably going to take about an hour. But you don't forget people when they call. I mean, give them a real thing, because what they end up telling them is nothing. They give them no information at the call center. The call center just has to regurgitate the same stuff. They're telling people nothing. So have somebody there who can give real good info, at least to them. And if you post it on social media, then that's going to make your call center numbers go down. I mean, I'm telling you, that was 10 years ago when I was there, and that worked. I love that. Ken says, I'm willing to work there at the call center to serve our people better. Look at that. And again, it would be if it's tough if you work at the call center and they don't provide the call center with good information. Other than, I don't know, but we're working on it. I don't know, but we're working on it. That's all they told me. I mean, come on. When your community doesn't have the essential services that they need, or there's an interruption, you got to tell them what's up. You got to be there for them, and not answering the phone and telling them, "Oh, sorry, we're not sure." Have someone go down there and check it out. It's a 24-hour-a-day job. I mean, I know that it would be 8 to 5, but that's whoever's got that job should be able to call them. Yeah, Ken, you're right. He says, I feel the call center has all the resources to get the proper info. Absolutely, they do. Because people call them, but it's critical thinking. Being able to ask the questions that you need answered. Right? Again, it's well-informed people who want to do the right thing. They just don't. They might not know what to do, but they also just might not be empowered to do it. That's what can get people in trouble, right? They're like, stay in your lane. Now, if you can see a problem that needs fixing, you should be empowered to fix it. Like I can tell you, I had a stay in my lane moment when I was there. It was when Gary, before he was the power, when he was the power manager, and not the executive director. And remember, after Solar, they took all those they disconnected everybody who had a damaged weatherhead, right? They took your meter. And we said, don't worry, we're going to give you your meter back. Right? And so you'll be billed the same amount and all that other stuff. Well, the guy who was in charge of all those power meters didn't catalog them the right way, which meter goes to which house and all that other stuff. What the setting was, all of those things. Just wasn't done. And so when I brought that, and I had been given information like, hey, this is what you say. Like, this is what we're doing. This is how the process is going to work. And then when I found out that process wasn't actually working that way, I'm like, what the crap? Like, no. Hey, if we're telling people that's how we're doing it, then we do it. I'm looking at a little mountain of power meters. Like, who's keeping track of this? I don't know. And so I'm like, all right, well, this is how you do it. Boom, boom, boom. This is how you can go and catalog all of them and store them. And Gary, he asked me when I went to talk to him about that. He's like, what, did you go to school for this? Is this your area of expertise? I'm like, Gary, no. But like, look, you're telling me that this is how this process is going to go. So go tell everybody the information. And then I told everybody that information. And then I saw the project that he was overseeing with regards to that. And it wasn't happening. I'm like, dude, I can't tell people this BS. Like, what is it, and how are you doing it? How are you really going to rectify it? And then I told him, like, this is it. This is how you do it. Problem solved. And it came over as more of an affront to, why you stay in your lane, man? No, dude. No, you're working for the community. So I can definitely empathize at least a little bit with what she's going through. And only hearing one side of the story. You know, like, there are the woe is me stories that come out for sure that I know that don't have merit to it, right? I've seen them not too far in the distant past or anything. I'm like, yeah, that's just somebody who's griping. Somebody who's just trying to save their job or save face because they're going to lose their job. I've seen that. So I don't know how much of that is in this, but there was an element to her story where I could see where she probably got herself in trouble. If her jury duty got canceled and she took off, like she still didn't come to work because she was scheduled as having jury duty, then yeah, you're screwing up. If you have leave for jury duty and then your jury duty gets canceled, well, you got to go back to work. I appreciate the other thing. No, I worked from home, and I know, but that doesn't work. All the other stuff, though, sounded good. Everything else sounded like it had merit. But that thing about the jury duty, you know, like, so I was listening with like a skeptic's ear. Like how much of this is good and how much of it's bad. Like, she had so many good things, like, really. But that thing about the jury duty, yeah, I get it. It's a government agency. Even if you're a qualified professional, government agencies, folks, it's still public. And CUC's under a lot of scrutiny from the community, by evidence of what we're talking about right now. That the thing about jury duty, you're probably going to get in trouble for that, you know? But all the other stuff, yeah, I'm here for you. Do people get the shaft because of political stuff? Yeah. It's a really big high school. CUC is a really big high school. But it's definitely is it's like little fiefdoms within it, right? It's more than that. But I do like that she stood up for herself for all that. And I've had to deal with all kinds of personalities when I was there. But generally speaking, the folks at CUC do a good job. It's not easy. And I'll tell you another thing about that is CUC is not an easy place to last a long time. Whatever job you have, it's not an easy place to last a long time. The workload is something. And when she talked about those engineers, yeah, that's something too. Like the amount of work that the engineers have to do. There's all kinds of things that pop up all over the place. Imagine dealing with all that. All right, I have to sneeze. I think I'll go to a commercial. I just don't know if I can get to this commercial before I sneeze. All right. Well, I'll work on that. You can work on you by heading down the Chalon-Canoa right here on Beach Road and head into Laddie Built 24-Hour Fitness. They're open 24 hours a day. They've got great smoothies, protein shakes. They've got great free weights. They've got great machines. They got the racks. They got the bikes. They got the sauna. They got the cold plunge. They got an octagon. The only thing they need is you. Holy cow. And I'll tell you, they even got 100-pound dumbbells that I was moving around for a photo shoot. And I can tell you, they're heavy. They probably weigh about 100 pounds. Anyway, go down there and check them out for yourself. That's Laddie Built 24 Fitness. It's right down the street. Look for the tallest building in Chalon-Canoa. You're going to find the Aquarius Beach Tower. Right in front of it, you're going to get the gray building with the green highlights that has plenty of parking. Go check it out. And tell them that we sent you because they're going to show us some love.
Persistence to build, be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book. We be a Lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence to build, be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
If you're a person with a disability in the CNMI, you have certain rights that protect your ability to vote. This video contains some information about your rights and some resources available to you in protecting those rights.
What are some of your voting rights as a person with a disability? You have the right to vote regardless of your disability. You have the right to cast your vote privately without disclosing your vote to anyone. But you also have the right to ask for assistance as needed. Polling place workers should be ready and available to assist and accommodate your needs. CNMI law requires that you must be registered to vote in the CNMI. You can vote if you are a citizen or national of the United States, at least 18 years of age on the date of the election, domiciled in the CNMI, a resident of the CNMI, and have resided in the Commonwealth for 120 days, are not serving a sentence for a felony, have not been declared by the court of unsound mind, and have registered to vote at least 60 days before the election.
As a voter with a disability, you have the right to vote in an accessible voting place. That means you can get from your car through the door to cast your ballot without physical barriers or impediments.
Under the CNMI law, any voter who needs help in casting a ballot is entitled to request for assistance. A poll supervisor or the executive director of the Commonwealth Election Commission can provide assistance at the polling place, or you can exercise your right to curbside vote. However, Whether you vote at curbside or not is your choice. No poll worker can force you to vote curbside. If you are unable to mark your ballot, you may select up to 2 people to help you cast your vote, except that they cannot be your employer or your employer's agent.
The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 requires public entities to provide progress access, reasonable modification of policy, auxiliary aids and service where necessary to afford an individual with a disability an equal opportunity to participate in and enjoy the benefits of the services, program, or activity being conducted by the public entity.
Our primary goal is to have 100% participation of eligible voters in all elections, 100% polling place accessibility, and options for all voters who seek independent and private voting. If you want to know more about your voting rights, please contact the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated at 670-235-7273 or 74, or you can simply visit our website at www.nmpasi.org.
This video was brought to you by the Administration for Community Living and does not necessarily reflect their official views.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. We've got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today. Come here often.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Hurricane Milton, now a Category 3 storm, is approaching Florida's west coast with maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. The Tampa Bay area is home to more than 3.3 million. Mayor Jane Castor.
What we're looking at is a storm of the century. It goes a bit north. That is the worst case scenario. It goes a bit south. That's the best case scenario, but it's not good. Look at what happened with Helene, the worst that most of us who've grown up in the city have seen. And that literally was a walk in the park compared to what Milton's going to bring our way.
Milton's already produced several tornadoes in the state. In the Middle East, an Israeli airstrike hit a Lebanese civil defense center, killing 5 members stationed there. Israel's expanding its ground operation against Hezbollah. The militant group today claimed a rocket attack that killed 2 people in Kiryat Shimona in northern Israel. And a large-scale Israeli operation against Hamas in northern Gaza has left dozens dead there. Sakar Magani reports President Biden's been on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time in 7 weeks.
It came amid the president's growing frustration with the prime minister, who's repeatedly ignored U.S. calls for ceasefires in Gaza and Lebanon. The White House says the call lasted about a half hour, with Vice President Harris joining.
It was direct. It was productive.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says they did discuss Israel's response to Iran's recent ballistic missile attack, and while she would not speculate, Israel's defense chief says the retaliation will be lethal and surprising. Meantime, Netanyahu's office confirmed he'd recently spoken with former President Trump, whose campaign says that should not be surprising. Jean-Pierre says it also should not amount to much. There's one person in charge of American foreign policy.
It's one president at a time.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
This is AP News. A strong finish for stocks today.
I'm Seth Sutel, and this is the AP Markets Report. Stocks rose to more record highs on Wall Street, despite another big drop in China. The S&P 500 climbed 0.7% Wednesday to beat the all-time high it set last week. The Dow rallied 431 points, that's about 1%, to hit its own record high. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 0.6%. Wall Street was relatively calm despite another hectic day for China's markets. Stocks fell in Shanghai to their worst loss since February 2020, following disappointment that China's government isn't offering more stimulus for the world's second-largest economy. Treasury yields rose in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note climbed to 4.07%. Seth Sutel, New York.
And the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has issued a severe geomagnetic storm watch for the next 2 days. An outburst from the sun detected earlier this week could disrupt power and radio signals. I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
Enough to drink it. Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
All right, welcome back, Marianas. Here we are. It is 8:47 in the morning, and nothing like a little bit of news and then a little beer commercial at the end of it, just to get you going. Hey, it is 8:47 here in the morning, and we're already at 85 degrees. You're looking live at traffic on Beach Road, and I'll tell you what, it can't get much better than what we got right now. It started out pretty lousy, kind of rainy and all that other stuff, but right now it's 85 degrees. Looking at all the way up to, I don't know, 86 today is what they're saying. So we're getting another tick on the dial. Humidity dropped a little bit. We're down to 80% right now, and it's going to be a little bit windy. Gusts as high as 20 today, and still got a chance of rain. So make sure if you got an umbrella, pack it in your car anyway. If you got a rain jacket, just keep it handy. Keep it in sight just in case you're going to need it, because you just don't know. You never know. All right. Anyway, we still got a lot to talk about today, but we only got about 12 minutes of broadcast left. I mean, we could stay on all day if we want to, but we are going to be going to DPS because they have a press conference coming up for us about the recent arrest of an officer who allegedly was, I would call that an abuse of power, feeling it a little bit too much, wielding that handgun. So, we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. He's getting his day in court, and it's got to be fair. Did you know today is Taiwan's National Day? They also call it Double 10 Day for Taiwan. And it works out, the timing is perfect because we were just in Guam for the Taipei 101 building by the Adlib brothers. That's right. Landon and Brandon were out there, and, and Tobot too, right? Don't forget Tobot. And I'll tell you what, that was such a great experience being down there, hanging out. It feels like just hanging out with a bunch of friends. We just happened to be doing it in Guam. We were at the Agana Shopping Center and really got to know everybody down there a little bit better and loved it. And Peeling, Peeling dropped off some great chow. Oh my gosh, man, that was just outstanding. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm telling you, it felt more like hanging out here than just hanging out somewhere else, like a remote location. Between the folks who are watching over there in Guam and the people from here who were there, the people that we work with on a regular basis doing all this stuff, it kind of felt kind of like home-ish, at least home to go. Here's the place, right? Saipan is it. But it felt pretty cool over there. And I was like, I wonder, could I ever do this over there? Don't worry, I have no designs. And maybe some of you guys are like, yeah, go there, get out of here. But, I think there's probably opportunity for something like that. But I think this works better here. Just like everything just works better here. Saipan, to me, it's just the perfect spot. It's the Goldilocks in the Three Bears story. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's just right. The bed's not too hard, not too soft. It's just right. Like all that stuff. Saipan is just right. So even though that we hit a lot of these things that we talk about, if we're talking some negative things about some of it, the thing is, don't let that cloud cover your whole day like the weather is today. We still got a lot of great stuff going on. This is still the best place to live. You don't want to live. Sure. Can you make money somewhere else? Maybe. Yeah. You want to pay those kind of taxes living out there, drive on the highway, zig and zag where nobody cares about you? Or do you want to be in a place like here where guaranteed you will never starve in Saipan? You will never, ever starve in Saipan. You're never going to be too cold in Saipan. This is just the best place. It's the best place. So that's why it's great when you see people working to make a difference and working to change it or improve it. Take the bad people out of the equation, and Saipan gets even better. That's good stuff. I'm all about that. All right, well, let's keep on rolling. Okay, so one of the other things that's not great about out here, or one of the things that people complain about from time to time, happens to be fuel prices. They just went up again by 10 cents. Oh, no, another dime. Good thing I drive a fuel-efficient vehicle, but I'll tell you what, I didn't always used to, and those $100 fill-ups are now $30. So It does suck. But if we ever get gas back down to a regular amount, like $2-3 a gallon, I will be in happy land. In fact, when I was in Guam, I had to fill up the rental car that I had. And luckily, as a veteran with a service-connected disability, I'm able to go on base. And I filled up, and I couldn't believe it. A half tank of gas on a regular car. It was like $15 because it was so cheap. Good times, man. Good times. And that would be there. I can't imagine if we end up getting fuel prices back to normal. And if we ever get a gas station here for the troop store, yes, I'll be all over that like white on rice. All right, I think we hit like all the big stuff. I'll tell you what, speaking of big stuff that's hitting, I'll show you this. This is what's been in the paper. This is Florida. I'm putting this on here. This is not Saipan. Don't get excited. Are you ready? All right. That's what I'm talking about. That's that hurricane that's making its way over there in the mainland, taking aim at Tampa. It is a monster, right? Imagine how small Saipan and Tinian are compared to that. And how big, like this is not U2 sized. It's close. This one's only a category 4, right? I mean, U2 just was the second strongest storm ever to hit U.S. soil. This is no little guy, for sure. So that's what they're all worried about. The water's already, the rain's just pounding them, and the wind is on the way next, and it's going to go right across the state. And where does it go from there? And I'll tell you, you've seen the videos, I'm sure, of how people are suffering. I meant to scroll down that way. Over here in North Carolina. And you got more stuff going on over here. This is a rough season for them. But it's them, not us. Sorry about that, mainland. So if you guys are thinking about moving back to the mainland, that's what you're going to go back for. Anyway. All right, well, we got about 5 minutes left, and, if you want to give us a call, you can. Yeah, no kidding. It's a good time if you guys want to give us a ring about that. If you want to give us a ring about anything, there's only a couple minutes left. I'm going to download this video from that. I only want her part of it. Oh, is it because it's too big? Is that why it failed? Let's see if it'll do it again. Well, we'll see. Download this PUTC portion of that video because that's good enough for me. Like, I really would like to get that. Let's see if that worked that time. Hey, Michael, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. All right, well, I went 0 for 3 on that, but I'll end up trying to get it. Anyway, I look forward to finding out what's happening with everybody. I got some messages, people telling me things that are happening over there in the grotto and that we need to... there's a lot of people who are not permitted doing the job down there, and that's not safe for anybody. All right, we got football coming back tomorrow as well. And, man, I'll tell you, it's a lot of me catching back up. All right, so here's the message. This is something I want to tell you. Today is Thursday. It's the second Thursday of the month. And what that means is that today is the meeting for the Veterans of Foreign Wars Saipan Post 3457. If you're already a member, get your butt over there to the post tonight at 6:30 for the meeting. If you're not a member but you're eligible, then make your way down there and sign up, man, because we need you. And that's not just like a little like, oh, man, we're always looking for a member. No, we need you. I'm telling you, we need you to come and join our post if you're already a member because our guys are getting older. They're dying. I'm telling you. You think I'm kidding. That's literally what it is. We need you. So it can't be left to just a small handful of people to do all this stuff. So if you're eligible, we need you to join our post. VFW Saipan Post 3457. And when you're there, give us some ideas that you think that you'd like for us to do in the community because we need to do stuff. But I'll tell you what, we just need more people to do it. All right. Hey, Luisa, thanks for tuning in today. It was great to see you. We'll be back again tomorrow, but we're going to be back in about an hour when we head down to DPS to cover their press conference regarding the recent arrest of one of their officers stemming from an incident that occurred at the beginning of this year, and we'll be back for that. All right, so I'm going to send you off with the latest in sports from the Associated Press. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning for Good Morning Marianas. We got guests lined up. Oh, my God. Next week is going to... You guys won't even be able to handle how next week is lined up. It's going to be that cool. Let me just see if I could get on here. Who do we got tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow we got a cool guest. Tomorrow we got this a songwriter, a musician, Ryan Wiskus. He's into traveling. He's into music. Found this guy online with these internet photos and videos groups that we're in, and saw that and I'm like, all right, let's see if we can get this guy on the show. He was asking how to get his music played on radio stations. I'm like, well, we'll get it started on our show, on just for an internet radio group that we're with. So we're going to have him on the show. He'll be calling in from Massachusetts. We'll be featuring some of his music and talk about some of the things that he's got going on, which is pretty neat. Next week, though, there's even more going on, and we're looking forward to that, too. What do we got? We got all kinds of guests coming in. Monday's going to be a holiday. I got a board meeting. That's not what I was expecting. But the Veterans Affairs Office is going to be coming in here next week. We've also got the forestry guys are going to be coming in. That's right, Doong, when he called us, him and his team are coming in to the studio. The folks from Mango are coming in next week as well. And it's just going to be a full-on week of stuff in studio. And then, oh, man, we even got the guys on next Tuesday, a calendar thing as Clam Jam. What it is, it's the guys from Fish and Wildlife going to be coming in to talk about everything that's proposed with NOAA for the, not being able to have the clams and the sanahis and all that kind of stuff. So we'll hear it directly from them. And then the week after, we're going to try to get these guys in from the brown tree snake program. Live, we're going to have a brown tree snake in the studio. Yes, we are. We'll give that snake a break. We will. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to get you guys the latest in sports from the Associated Press now. We're going to call it a day, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. It's always great when you guys are here. It makes me happy. Take care, guys.
AP Sports, I'm Steve Carney. The New York Mets are now one win away from advancing to the National League Championship Series thanks to their win over the Phillies. Correspondent Mike Mancuso reports.
The Mets grabbed the 2-1 lead in this divisional playoff series with a 7-2 win over the Phillies. Pete Alonso and Jesse Winker got the offense going with solo homers to support Sean Manaea, who tossed 7+ innings for the win.
It's huge. It's haven't had the most amazing career, but through the ups and downs and through the hardships, it's what makes games like this mean so much.
The Mets added on with 5 runs in their final 3 at-bats, Starling Marte and Jose Iglesias each delivering 2-run singles. Aaron Nola took the loss. He was knocked out in the 6th. The Mets can clinch the best-of-5 series on Wednesday night.
The Padres are now also one victory away from eliminating the Dodgers from the postseason. This report from correspondent Philip Goen.
David Peralta and Fernando Tatis Jr. drove in a pair of runs in a 6-run second inning, leading the San Diego Padres to a 6-5 win over the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 3 of the National League Division Series. After Mookie Betts' first-inning home run gave the Dodgers a 1-0 lead, San Diego answered with a franchise postseason record 6-run inning. Xander Bogaerts' fielder's choice would tie the score, followed by David Peralta's double inside the first baseline to give the Padres a 3-1 lead. Kyle Higashioka's sacrifice fly, followed by Tatis's 2-run home run, would put the Padres ahead 6-1.
The energy through the roof, especially that type of inning that we built. After 2 outs, it was just momentum, and
definitely a beautiful finish at the end of that inning.
The Dodgers would answer back on a grand slam by Teoscar Hernandez in the third inning. The Padres lead the series 2-1 and can close it out with a win Wednesday with Dylan Cease on the mound.
Meanwhile, after a day off on Tuesday, the American League Division Series will get back underway on Wednesday. The Guardians will look to wrest home field back from the Tigers, while the Royals welcome the Yankees to Kauffman Stadium. Both series are tied at a game apiece. In the NHL, the Florida Panthers begin the defense of their Stanley Cup championship by raising their first banner, then beating the Bruins. Correspondent Mike Reeves has details.
After raising the Stanley Cup championship banner to the rafters, the Panthers skated onto the ice and won their season opener over the Bruins 6-4. Florida bolted to a 4-1 lead after one period against losing goaltender Jonas Korpisalo.
The game was 4-1 after first, so not too happy with that. A couple of weird bounces, 4 goals in one period. It doesn't matter how many shots you got there. It's pretty tough to climb back there.
Sam Bennett scored twice for Florida, with Sam Reinhart and Evan Rodriguez both scoring once and adding an assist. Sergei Bobrovsky won in net. Trent Frederick, Pavel Zacha, David Pastrnak, and Charlie McAvoy scored for Boston. The Panthers outshot the Bruins 35-28.
Elsewhere, the St. Louis Blues get a pair of goals from Jordan Kyrou and 30 saves from Jordan Binnington in a 3-2 victory over the Kraken. And the Utah Hockey Club gets its first NHL regular season win, opening the Delta Center with a 5-2 win over the Blackhawks. The NFL coaching carousel has begun. A rookie quarterback is poised to make his first start, and the WNBA Finals matchup is set. That and more is coming up after this. The NFL's first coaching change of the season comes in a surprising fashion. This report from correspondent Gethin Kulba.
Robert Saleh insisted no one was panicked about the Jets' slow start. One day later, he was out of a job. Owner Woody Johnson made the stunning decision Tuesday to fire Saleh 5 games into his 4th season after the team's 2-3 start. Johnson said in a statement he believes the Jets were not where they should be given their expectations. Saleh was 20-36 as coach of the Jets. His firing marks the first time in Johnson's 25-year tenure that a head coach has been fired during the season. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will serve as interim coach.
Meanwhile, the New England Patriots have decided to make a change at quarterback as veteran Jacoby Brissett, who started the first 5 games of the year, has been replaced at the top of the depth chart by rookie Drake May. May, taken 3rd overall by the Patriots out of North Carolina in this year's draft, becomes the 3rd rookie signal caller to start in his NFL debut for the Patriots in the last 4 seasons. New England has lost its last 4 straight and are averaging just 12.4 points per game this year, ahead of only the Miami Dolphins. The Saints are expected to be without their starting quarterback, Derek Carr, after he reportedly suffered an oblique injury in Monday's loss to the Chiefs. If Carr is unavailable Sunday against Tampa Bay, either Jake Haener, who replaced Carr on Monday, or Spencer Rattler could start against the Buccaneers. And the WNBA Finals matchup is set as the Lynx oust the Sun after an 88-77 victory in the 5th and deciding game of their series. Nafisha Collier led the way with 27 points and 11 rebounds, and Courtney Williams added 24 points in the victory. Minnesota reaches the WNBA Finals for the first time in 7 years and will take on the New York Liberty in the best-of-5 series, which begins at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn Thursday. Steve Carney, AP Sports.